Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
So far, I have been taking you through various theoretical aspects of bookmaking and especially book design, and I have been explaining the aspects of the page of the book, various aspects of the cover that you need to keep in mind while you are designing a print publication. We've also touched upon where to locate images, what points we need to keep in mind, how to do a very basic color treatment of them in Photoshop, and so on. We've talked a lot about the balance of pages, the fact that the left page is often seen in relation to the right page, the value of space on the page, and of course different kinds of font. I have also used terms like page architecture, such as running heads, running feet, folios, and so on. Now, today, I would like to share with you how to set up on your computer a new document, which you must bear in mind must be a little larger than the print document, because we need to put extra space on all three sides. Of that extra space in print and publishing terminology is known as bleed. You may remember I had mentioned that the book, any book, all books are printed on much larger sheets of paper from which the page that you finally hold in your hand has been cut. During the cutting process, we need to leave a little extra so that the blade, when it cuts, has a bit of play. The excess gets trimmed away. You don't want your actual design to get trimmed. So the allowance we must leave for the printer, the binder, is known as bleed. Today we are going to set up a document. We are going to set up a very vital part of the document, which is called the master page. The master page becomes the template for the document and is going to establish the layout of 90% of the pages in your document. This prevents you from the hassle of, putting up with the hassle of copy pasting things all over the book. When we come to Quark Express, if you can see the screen, we go to File, as we do in most other softwares. We go to File and we say Open New and Project. Then we get a window that looks like this. For the purposes of this project, for the purposes of this book that I want to, do with you and show you how it's done, I would like the width of the book to be 6 inches and I would like the height to be 9 inches. This is a very standard book size. In publishing terminology, this is often also known as the royal size. Hardback books are often done to this size, 6 inches by 9 inches. If you now look to the left of the page of this particular window that is open, you will notice an option called Facing Pages, Allow Odd Pages on the left, and Automatic Text Box. Please make sure that all three are selected. In case these tick marks are missing, you may take your mouse to them, click to turn them on, and click to turn them on. You don't have to understand why for the time being. If you just make sure that you have selected these, when we open up the document, it will become evident why. The bleed that we need to apply is 3 mm. 3 mm is 0.118 in inches. Here, as you will notice, Quark Express has 4 options where you are allowed to apply the bleed. We need bleed on the top of the book. We need bleed at the bottom of the book. We need bleed on the outside of the book, the outer edge one side of the book, if you're holding it up in your hands like this, one side is what we would call the spine of the book. That's the side you often see on a bookshelf. The other open side of the book is called the foredge, the F-O-R-E, and the word edge, or E-D-G-E. Now, the spine, in quark terminology, it is interpreting the spine as inside. Inside is 0. Outside, or the foredge, also needs bleed. So please remember, the width of the book gets bleed applied once. The height of the book gets bleed applied twice, once to the top and once to the bottom. The inside, or the spine, stays at 0. If you want, you can type it in millimeter. You can write 3 mm and press enter, or I've done the conversion for you. If you're working in inches, 3 millimeters equals to 0.118 inches. We have now taken care of what we are seeing here as margin guides, where you can see my cursor going round and round currently. Before we press OK, what we have to tell Quark Express is that the final page size, the page that Quark will create for us, please have a very clear difference in your minds about the fact that the page in the software is going to be a little larger than the page in print when it is finally cut and bound. So here, to my software page, to the width I add 1 bleed, and to the height I add bleed twice. As I've just mentioned, there is a top and there is a bottom. If you multiply 0.118 or if you add 0.118 twice, then you get 0.236. Please make a note of this mathematical formula: width plus 1 bleed, or width plus bleed once, height plus bleed twice. This gives you the total page size in the software. Once you've done this mathematics and you have increased the size at width and height, now you press OK and you jump into the document. What Quark Express is showing you now, or InDesign, depending on what you're working in, is the first page of the document. A shortcut to jump very quickly to have your design fit in the window is Ctrl+0 or Command+0, depending on what system you're using, whether it's a PC or a Mac. To fit the whole page into the window, it's Control or Command+0. Now, if you are on Quark Express, I need you to open the Window menu, which is on the top of your screen. And from Window, I want you to choose the option that says Page Layout. When you choose Page Layout, you will notice something like this palette that I am wiggling around on the screen right now. This will open up. It might already be open on your screen, so make sure you take a look. If you can't see a palette on your screen called Page Layout, then go to Window and choose it. On our page layout, you'll notice there is only a single page right now. Don't worry about it. Double click on the little page icon over here. Can you see where my cursor is going round? That is the icon. We want to access the page called A Master A, because that is going to help us establish the template of this document. Just before I started work on the computer, I told you that we need to figure out a way of getting most of the page architecture done, because most of the pages in the book will require it. Once you come to the master page, you will see a pair of pages showing up on your screen. There is a left page, the verso page, and there is a right page or the recto page. The first thing that we must decide is how much of a page margin we want to leave. Within the printed page, if you look at a book from your bookshelf, you'll be able to realize there is a solid white space on all 4 sides of the main box of text. And what is that going to be? For the purposes of this book, let us decide to have a 0.75 margin. Okay, 0.75 inches. Now, what is a quick way to arrive at this? The first tool on the toolbar to the left of your screens, if you can see where my cursor is now going up and down, the first tool is known as the box tool or the item tool. Whenever you want to select a particular box, or you want to grab it and move it around, you want to make it bigger or smaller, this is the tool that we require. Underneath it, as you can see, whenever you hold your mouse over a particular tool, suppose you have forgotten what that tool is for, as long as you hold your mouse on the tool, the name of the tool will flash and you can remind yourself of what that tool is. Underneath the item tool is the text tool, and then we have two tools that we need not talk about at this particular moment. We will come to it in subsequent lessons. We need the picture content or the picture box tool. All typesetting software tends to function in boxes. Unlike Microsoft Word, where the minute you open a new document, you can start typing, that's because Microsoft Word is a word processor tool, is a word processing software. The minute you go into Photoshop and a new file opens up, you are expected to either draw or paint or correct some kind of a photo or fix things or add effects to some kind of image. That's because that is an image editing software. In Quark Express, you can have both things. You can have text as well as picture, but they will not automatically appear on your page. Every time you want text, you must draw a text box. Every time you want picture, you must draw a picture box. Picture boxes can also be used on their own, empty as shortcuts to help in your design. Later we will learn how we can fill picture boxes with color, etc. At the moment, we want to use our picture boxes to help us establish our page margins. So, I have selected the picture box tool and I have drawn a box from the top of the page. As you can see, please make sure the box is sitting on the blue line and not above it. When you open up the document, you will notice these blue guides that have come on all four sides. The blue guides are telling you everything within the blue guide is going to be your printed page, and everything outside the blue guide is what the area we have been describing as bleed, and it will be cut off after printing. Having drawn this box and putting it on the top at the blue guide, I want to make sure that it is in fact 0.75 by 0.75 inches. You know that a square has the same width and height on all four sides. How will I ensure that? I can't figure it out just when I'm drawing. So I draw a box and then I come down to the bottom of my screen, and you will notice there is something called W and H. W indicating width and H indicating height. In the width, I put 0.75 and I press enter. You must press enter after you type a measurement, or the measurement will not be accepted. In height, I also put 0.75 and I press enter. Now this box is 0.75 inches by 0.75 inches. This is step 1. What do I have to do? I have to make sure the 0.75 inch margin is followed on all four sides of the page. So, making sure the box is selected. Now, how do I know the box is selected? If you're looking at my screen, when you have selected nothing, you can just see the blue lines of the boxes. The minute you select a particular box, you will notice how the handles have suddenly, I call them box handles, because you can use these handles to open, to open the box up, to make it taller, make it smaller, etc. We will leave it at 0.75 for the time being, right? So let me just make it 0.75 again, because that is the measurement that we need. 0.75 from width, 0.75 from height. Now I copy this box and I paste it. How do I copy? Making sure the box is selected. I do Command C for copy or Control C, and then I do Control V for paste, and the box gets pasted. One box on every side of the blue lines, right? On each page, one box on every side. So I have it here. I paste again and I bring it here at the bottom, paste again here near the spine, one more paste. There will be 8 boxes in all, 4 on each page, okay? Top, bottom, side to side. And here we are, right? After doing this, your box work for the time being is done. Take your cursor up to the top of the page. You will notice there are these what looks like a ruler going across the top of your page. Take your cursor, pretend that you are gripping the ruler and pull. Can you see on my screen how the appearance of my cursor has changed? There is a very different kind of arrow. That arrow indicates that I am pulling down a guide. A guide is a thin green line, as you can see, and you can get it from the ruler on the top of your page. You can get it from the ruler at the side of your page, and you must draw it as closely as you can. Bring it close to your boxes, and you have to repeat this. Even if you let the ruler go by accident in the middle of the page, don't panic. You can, the minute you hover with your mouse, you'll see the cursor is changing. It's letting you grip the ruler, right? It's difficult sometimes to pull it down at one shot. Try and make it match the top of the box. You will notice on the bottom of the page, the green guide is going right across the 2 pages, which means we have calculated the placement correctly. We need 2 more over here, right? 1 more on top. Just go to the ruler, grip and pull. And when you come close to the box, try and release it exactly on the box as I am doing. 1 on this side and the last one on this page right to the outer box. Okay? By doing this, this is a shortcut and easy way of getting our page margins on both pages. How do you calculate that drop of 1 inch? How do you calculate that page margin of 0.75 inches? Or how do you calculate the page margin of 0.5 inches, which would be half an inch? This is how you do it. Think of your page margin. You may change it later, but for the time being, often 0.5 inches, 0.75 inches is a good standard across most publications. It can always go up if you have a very big book. We are not going to go into those books at this moment. Figure out what your page margin is going to be. Draw a box. Make sure it is a square. I repeat this because you'll notice when you're drawing the guides, sometimes they are at the top, sometimes the guide is along the side, sometimes the guide is along the bottom. If it is a square, the distance from every side of the box will always be the same, so you don't have to worry. You just go to the picture box tool, select it, draw a box, come down to width and height and change it to the same value, 0.75, 0.75, and that's how you get a square. Once you've got the square box, we started with the box here on the top of the screen, Control C and Control V, and you can keep doing Control V until you have a box on every side of the page. As you can see here, each page needs 4 boxes, top, bottom, left and right. Once your boxes are in place, go into the ruler, grip and draw these green guides. What we have done in fact now is that we have decided within these green guides is where we are going to locate all our text matter. The area within the blue guides is our printed page. The area within the green guides is going to be our text block. Therefore, the area between the green and the blue guides is our page margin. Once we have established our page margins, we can click, making sure that we are on the item tool. We can click on each box and simply delete the boxes. We don't need these anymore. They have served their function. We can delete these boxes. There you can select them one at a time and just get rid of them. Now you realize what I was saying when you look at the page, that outside the blue area is bleed. This is our page margin, and within the green is where we are going to put all our text. Now this book is a book of short stories. The name of the author will appear on the left-hand side page. The name of the short story will appear on the right-hand side page. You will remember we have discussed running heads and running feet. In this book, we want to have running heads and we will have foot folios or folios at the bottom of the page. In order to have running heads are text, we will need to draw a text box. How will we do that? We will come here to the screen, to the left of the screen and choose the T tool. Having chosen the T tool, we will now draw a text box. Just click and drag. Make sure you're staying within the green lines. Under the circumstances, I would ask you to choose the magnifying glass and click a few times so that you can get closer to the text box that you will be typing. Choose the T tool and the cursor starts flashing. The name of the author in this case is Eva Menassing. Always remember, in the case of running heads or running feet, the name of the author is always on the left-hand side. The chapter title, the story title, or the name of the book is always on the right-hand side. Never get confused between the two. Name of the author is always on the verso. Name of the book or the book part or chapter, etc. is on the recto. Now, I've typed in the name of my author. Helvetica 12, as you can see below, the minute I've got some text in a text box, the minute I select by dragging my mouse or my cursor over them, you will notice at the bottom of the screen, I now have various options. It's showing me the options that I'm concerned with over here is Helvetica and 12. Helvetica is a default font supplied by Quark Express. I don't want to use it for my design. I want to change it. Perhaps if you are interested, we could experiment with a serif and non-serif font. There is a serif font already loaded in my computer called Avneer. I choose Avneer. Next. And Avneer within it has lots of options. In Avneer next, I think the ultralight, as you can see, it's automatically chosen something called ultralight. Ultralight may end up being too light for the page. So I choose Avneer regular. This is all lowercase. I come down to my screen again where I had chosen the font name, and here underneath it in this stylized F that you can possibly see on my screen, this is the place from where I can select my text styles, and I want to choose small caps. And this is what my running head looks like now. After choosing my small caps, you may remember I had discussed kerning, leading, all of this with you. Kerning means the intercharacter space. Leading means the interlinear space. In sans serif or non-serif fonts, as the font I have chosen just now, the letters may look to you as if they are very close together. If you apply a kerning value, they will spread out again. I am applying a kerning value of 5 and they have just gently separated, and to my eye at least, this looks much better. I can close this box a little bit, and if I go back with Control 0 to my regular page, fit to window option, this is what I see. Now, having changed the font family, I must remember that I cannot have size 12 running heads. My body text will be a minimum of 10. So my running heads must be at least 9 or 8. Running heads, running feet cannot be bigger than the body text. Please bear this in mind. So 12 is a no-no. Definitely never 12. We will change it to 9. If you are feeling nervous about how small it's looking, always see if you can try and take out a printout. That will help you understand the type size, the font size. Don't worry about it looking small on the screen. It's not easy to tell by looking on the screen, right? Average size 9 is adequate for a header. Having done the running head on the left-hand side, we now need to replicate it on the right hand side. Instead of drawing a box again and so on, the easiest thing we can do is to choose the box tool, select this box, Control C and Control V again, and you locate it in the identical position on the facing page, right? Identical position on the facing page. Now, at this moment, I can't remember the title of the short story, so I'm just going to write as a reminder to myself, short story title over here. I will fill it in later. I write short story title here and I realize, ideally you may have seen books like this, that I want to right align the header on the right page just as I have left aligned the header on the left page. So this is now my header is taken care of. I now need to worry about where my page number will come. So I press the T tool and I draw another box just like I had drawn above. When my cursor flashes inside this box, I do Command 3. This is a special command that you must keep in mind. Simply typing in that symbol at the bottom of the screen is not going to solve your problem. You have to give the command. Quark generates, the software generates that symbol as a way of telling itself that on every page within the document, this is how the page number will appear. This is where the page number will appear, right? So don't create that logo. You can arrive at it in Quark Express by pressing Control 3 or Command 3 inside a text box. We only do this once on the master page. Any element that you put on the master page is repeated then throughout the document, which we shall see in a very short while. Now, having got it, even the page number, as you can see at the bottom, by default appears in Helvetica 12. Again, I will choose the font that I have chosen for the running head. I have chosen Avni Next. Here it is on the top of my screen. I choose Avni Next Regular and I make the size 9. I can type in a font size as I have just done. As long as I press enter, Quark understands the size and accepts it. Once I have done the footfolio box here, I can also copy and paste this box and put it on the facing page. So now I have 2 footfolios. Such a tall box is not required. If necessary, I can even close it a little bit. If you are having trouble closing the box, magnify a little bit, choose the box tool, choose the handle at the bottom and just shut it, and you can move it down by pressing the up and down arrows on your keypad. We can do the same thing here. We can just close this box a little bit to earn some space on the page, and then we can move the box down into position, and there we are. Command 0 and my view goes back to fit to window. The last thing that we have to do now is we have to figure out where we want our body text. The body text will have to come in a box which is known as the automatic text box, and you will have had an automatic text box at the beginning of your document, which is why we had said select the automatic text box option. On this page, the minute you click in the background, the automatic text box gets highlighted, and I just have to grab the handles of the automatic text box and I move them to within the green lines like this. Can you see what I just did? You just shorten the handles and you leave a little space away from the running head box and a little space away from your page number box. And you do the same on this page. Grab the handle in the corner, bring it down. Can you now see the red lines that are appearing on your screen? The red lines are known as dynamic guides. When you are resizing 2 objects, when you are aligning 2 objects in relation to each other, the dynamic guide helps you realize when you are at the same level or the same height. I've done that. I move this box margin into the green margin. I don't want any text falling into my intermargin area. And I shorten this box also from the bottom till again, I just keep lifting it. As you can see on my screen, I'm holding it in position. I keep shortening it till the red line tells me the box on the left is in fact matching the box on the right hand side. Okay, can you see the two figures are also showing up in red, 6.811. That means both my boxes are showing 6.811. Both my boxes are of the same height. So that's wonderful. And I am now almost ready to get into the book. Please don't forget at this point to save your document wherever you want to. I am saving this as a trial typesetting document. I had an older one which I am just replacing, and I say save. Sometimes if you have a document with the same name, the software will give you an alert and say, you have a document of the same name, do you want to replace it, do you want to overwrite it? And if it's so, if it is necessary, you overwrite it and you say yes. If you now look at my screen, we have set up the master page for this volume of short stories. Most of the short stories in this volume are going to have a running head. We have created them with the use of text boxes. Most of the pages in this short story volume will have footfolios which we have created, and we need to have text flowing on every page, for which the automatic text box that Quark supplied us, we have simply resized it to fit within our margin area. Remember to save, and now our master page work is complete. I want you to look again at the page layout tablet on the side and double click on page 1. We have now entered the main and the first page of the document. We have to now bring text in from the Word document which the editor or the author has sent to you. Editors, authors, when they work on a manuscript, they will work on Microsoft Word, they will finish making all their corrections, all their edits, etc., etc., and then finally save, and they'll send you that Word document. Never ever copy paste a lot of text from Microsoft Word into Quark Express or InDesign. That is not the correct way in which you bring text from Word. Sometimes when we are designing a book cover, we might copy only the title, only the subtitle, only the name of the author from the Word document. Those are small bits of text. That is not a problem. But when you have large amounts of text, 400 pages, 300 pages, 200 or even 50 pages, do not copy paste it. Please bring it in the way in which I will show you now. First of all, sometimes your computer memory is incapable of copying the whole thing. And another problem that happens is when you copy paste text like that, then the italics disappear, the bold disappears. Italics, bold, these were all applied by your author or by your editor because they had some meaning. There is some relevance to why certain words are italics. There are choices that have been made. If that whole text you just copy paste and bring into Quark Express, all that will disappear and you will be in big trouble as a typesetter. The easiest way to bring in, even if it is a 100-page Word document, it's not a problem. Come into page 1, double click on the text box. You will see the cursor is flashing, and now the shortcut is Command E or Control E. Command E or Control E is the shortcut for text. You can also go to File and choose Import. You can come at this from whichever angle makes sense to you, and Quark will open up a window through which you can access all the documents in your computer. You can now tell Quark, I want this particular Word document. You select it and you say Open. And something very wonderful and very magical has happened, which is, as you can see now on my page layout palette, I suddenly have 38 pages, which means this is now, I'm trying to show you the importance of having that master page, of having that automatic text box. if you have the automatic text box, the minute you bring in large quantities of text from Microsoft Word, Quark Express will supply for you as many pages as you require. You don't have to worry about it. Okay? Here, the other magic trick is, as I am scrolling, you are able to see that on this page, okay, on this page, I have my header in place as I had done it on the master page. I have my footfolios in place as I had done it on the master page. This is the importance of the master page. It helps establish a template for the entire book. Now I don't have to worry about this at all. The other thing I don't have to worry about is, because we have done our margins well, you can see as I am scrolling through the pages, text is always beginning in the same place. Text is always ending in the same place. Both my text boxes are of the same height. So I have a beautiful text block area within the green lines, and this will be replicated across every page in this document, even if it has 1,000 pages. This is the benefit of having a master page. This is a benefit of setting up your master page carefully and thoughtfully right at the beginning of the document. Now again, I press save. My text has come. Once the text has come, I must now look again, start at the beginning from page 1. Page 1 has the name of the short story. The name of the short story is Butterfly, Bee, Crocodile. Now you will remember when I started work, I was not being able to remember the short story title, but now I can see it here. So my first step is I go back to my master page and I magnify this box with the magnifying tool. And I say I know what the short story title is. So can I perhaps type it in? Butterfly, Bee, Crocodile. Okay. I say save and I go back to page 1. Can you see immediately, because I changed it on the master page, every right hand side page in this document is going to say Butterfly, Bee, Crocodile. I don't have to copy paste it. Any change I want to make in either this box, which is the running header box on the left page, or this box, the running header box on the right hand side page, any change you should make, please be aware you should not do it locally. Okay, if you spot a spelling error in the name of the author, please go to the master page and fix it. It will get fixed throughout the document. If you have fixed it only on one page, you cannot and you should not, because that will mean you'll need to fix it manually across all the pages. If the book has 300 pages, you will need to fix it 300 times. Why do you want to make more work for yourself? In such a case, just get to the master page, fix it once, and all 300 pages in the document will take that correction. Once you have manually meddled with a master page item on a local page, the connection between the master page and that box breaks. If you fix it on one page, the master page says that box doesn't belong to me anymore. I don't recognize it. If you make any more changes, I'm not responsible. That box doesn't look like me. So instead of snapping that connection, make your changes from the master page. Having done this, I now come back to page 1. I have discussed this often with you in my past few lectures, that any page that starts a section, any page that starts off the chapter, the first page of the short story, etc., etc., those pages, this is a page with a heading. What you and I as lay people, we would call this a heading. In page setting terminology, we call this a display title. The display title means we cannot have any page architecture above it. So the first thing that I do on page 1 is I select this box, the running head box, and I delete it, because I want my page heading, I want my display title to be the most important element of that page. I don't want any page architecture to be above it. So I just manually delete it on this page. Every other page will have it, so I'm not worried about those pages. This is an exceptional page. I get rid of it. On display pages, the only thing that you are allowed to keep is in fact the page number. I notice another little issue over here, which is that the page number on the right hand side page, I have forgotten to align to the right. So I have come back to my master page and I have to highlight this page number and do a right align. Now this is correct. The page number ideally should follow the alignment of the running head or running feet. And now I go back to page 1 and you can see this is now on the right side. Having done this, I will now, if you remember this conversation from the past lectures, I will now have to do some universal changes to the type, to the text. I had discussed in one of my theoretical lectures that when we typeset, there are some universal changes that we apply and then there are some exceptional changes that we have to make. The first universal change we have to do is to change the typeface. As you can see, when I select this body text, at the bottom of the screen, you can see it shows Times New Roman and 12 point. I don't like to work in Times New Roman. Ideally, the book should not be typeset in Times New Roman. Books, when you're working on a Word document, Times New Roman is fine. One way in which I apply the universal changes, universal change means it will apply to all the text. How do I quickly select all the text? Making sure my cursor is inside the text box, I do Command A. Either Command A or Control A to select all the text. It's easy to remember if you remember A for all. Control A means select all the text. The first universal change is to change the typeface. So I come to the bottom of the screen, I open up my box of font options and I now want to work in a serif font. Body text is predominantly in a serif font. I want to work in a serif font now and I choose a font called Adobe Caslon Pro. Now, one alert for all of you, and I've left the font menu open deliberately. When you choose a typeface or a font, whatever you wish to call it, you will notice that it has a sub-menu. In the sub-menu, it's showing up regular, italic, semi-bold, etc., etc. When you choose the font, do not travel to the sub-menu. The minute you choose Adobe Caslon Regular, it will get rid of the italics, the same problem I had mentioned during copy-paste. So, simply stick to the name of the font as I am doing. Don't go to the left or to the right. Don't go to any of these for the time being. Just choose the name of the font and your typeface will change. This is the first universal change. The second universal change is the size of the typeface. If Quark is not displaying a particular size to you, that means that there are quite a few sizes in the document. It is confused about what to show you, so it is blank. You don't have to worry about it. Baseline text at least should be 10. I know, because I am experienced and I have done this often, I know that Adobe Caslon Pro is a slightly smaller font. I would prefer to work with 11. So I choose 11 and I type in 11 and I press enter. Universal change 1, I am not unselecting my text. Control A, select all is still on. All my text is getting affected. After this, the space that is underneath the typeface, that is known as leading or interlinear space. I don't want a percentage that has come in from Microsoft Word. My first step is to try and see what the automatic leading is, which is going to be supplied by Adobe Caslon Pro. One very quick way of arriving at auto leading, of getting rid of whatever leading Word has applied, is to say 0 point. The shortcut for point is PT and you press enter and you'll notice at once how compressed the text has become. This is with automatic leading. If you so wish, you may click on the arrow once or twice to apply a little more leading. If you are looking at where my cursor is at the bottom of the screen and is going round and round, this is showing you how to increase or decrease the leading, these two arrows. Okay, this is our second select all universal typographic change. And I am scrolling through the document to show you, because I did Control A, all the pages, all the text in this document has got selected with one command. All the body text, as you can see, is now Adobe Caslon 11. and the leading, the interlinear space, is 15.2. Leading depends on how much page extent you have. Leading depends on whether the auto leading is looking too compressed, in which case apply it very, very gently. Just click the leading increase arrow once, maybe twice. Don't spread the text out too much, because then you will be in trouble. Your page count will go up, and then this affects costs, etc., etc. Right? 1 or 2 clicks of this leading arrow where my cursor is hovering at the bottom of the screen is enough. The other changes now we have to do apply to the paragraph formatting. We need interparagraph space. Interparagraph space can be applied from the bottom, again, the bottom of your screen. There is an option where my cursor is hovering called paragraph. Simply come down there and you might get a little overwhelmed because there are all these little boxes over here and you may feel a little lost. If you ever forget from where to put the interpara space, just hold your mouse over these two little icons and you'll notice an automatic label will pop up that reminds you what it stands for. My concern here is to put space after every paragraph. 90% of the paragraphs will have the same space after them, and a very safe, very reasonable, good amount of paragraph space after is 0.03, which I put and I press enter, and all my paragraphs, you saw there was a little jump on the screen, all my paragraphs now have after para space of 0.03. Just quietly, delicately setting one paragraph slightly apart from the next one. There is another universal change, the last of the universal changes that you need to apply to the text. This is something called first line indent. I have discussed this often when I was taking apart books and showing you the different parts of the books and so on. A very good standard first line indent is 0.25, which I have put here. You can see when I hold my mouse, it says first line indent. I type 0.25 and I press enter. And if you go back now, you can see this line, first line of the para has got indented. This first line of the para has got indented. This is what we mean by a first line indent. This brings us to the end of the universal changes to the text. We have set up a master page. We have set up our page margins. We have set up the page architecture, and we have brought then text in from Microsoft Word, and we have applied very basic universal changes which usually comprise leading, typeface family, typeface size, after para space, and first line indent. In our next lecture, I am saving this document. I will open up this very same document and we will discuss the exceptional kinds of typesetting that are then possible and that have to be done one by one as we go along from page to page.
Hello everybody, welcome back, and here I am to give a preview, very short obviously, in the area of what we mean by operation research and optimizations. So, we know operation research and optimization is used generally where you have some resources and you want to utilize them in the best possible way considering what your main objective is. Now, if we stop here and go back in the past, so the obvious question comes, from where did this technique of operation research and optimization, which is an area of mathematical techniques, come into the existence. So, generally even though the work has started from areas of mathematics, economics, but generally it is considered that operation research and optimizations were very heavily used and it became popular during World War II in trying to schedule different resources, manpower, armaments, considering there were resource constraints, time constraints and space constraints and so on and so forth. Now, for the general public, it should be aware that we consider from the academic point of view, there are different people, very famous people who have worked, but George Danzig is considered the father who really proposed the technique of linear programming as a very nice tool, where you can use operation research techniques in order to optimize the resources which are there depending on different constraints which you have. And after that, things have really moved very fast, they have been developing throughout the world, they have been usage, they are different type of societies, so on and so forth. And in course of time we see and we still find exciting areas of application, but theoretically there has been a growth in techniques like robust optimization, stochastic optimization, dynamic programming, parametric programming, nonlinear programming, so on and so forth, and they are used depending on the concept and the areas of application which we see for either finance, for marketing, for scheduling, for engineering field and so on and so forth. Now, application of OR and optimization, if somebody asks, is a very difficult question to answer, because if I start now, it will almost take about 1 hour to give you all the areas of application of optimization operation research are. But to keep it very brief, considering that you are all ready and eager to take that as a subject, I will just highlight the areas of applications, some of which are in scheduling, in assignment problem, in facility location, like you want to build up a factory, you want to build up some storehouse, so on and so forth. It is used in network flows, like you want to transport some goods, transport manpower from one area to another area. So, how we will try to basically do it in the best possible way. What is best would obviously depend on how you are trying to use optimization as a tool in different areas. It can be used, operation research and optimization can be used in health services, in financial portfolio management, asset liability management, game theory and so on and so forth. Now, in the recent past, even though it is very well known, but still I would like to highlight the point that the computing powers and the techniques of operation research and obviously in statistics has exponentially grown. And with very sophisticated programming being available, like we know that there is MATLAB, there is R, there is SAS, which are different type of optimization tools. We see nowadays that operation research and optimization is also used in health sciences, in gene replication theory, in area of say for example prediction of weather, in the area of say for example prediction of earthquake, how you find out the best possible way to take actions such that it meets your overall demand. Say for example, in prediction of earthquakes, you would like to basically build up your houses, build up the dams, build up the overall locations of people staying in different localities in such a way that the minimization of the losses are sustained. Furthermore, after the advent of computing and advent of different techniques, we see many meta heuristic and heuristic techniques are very heavily used in parlance of operation research and optimization by joining them together such that you get the best benefit. So, if the question arises what are the meta heuristic techniques, I would again be very brief, because again there is a huge amount of literature, huge amount of application areas, huge amount of research which are being done in the area of genetic algorithm, taboo search, ant colony optimization, simulated annealing, then in the area of particle swarm optimization, in the area of artificial immune system and so on and so forth. In the coming years, it is thought and definitely with some positive viewpoint that the area of multi-criteria decision making and multi-objective programming, where you use different type of tools and use the different advancement of optimization which has been made in such a way that you can basically optimize two different objective functions which are there in front of you, such that either if considering the area of finance, you can either maximize your return for the portfolio or minimize the risk also, or say for example, you want to basically have a layout such that minimization of cost is one factor and the maximization of say for example, benefit which accrues to different type of users in this overall layout can be attained at the same time. So, obviously, it means that what we are seeing is a huge application of optimization along with different type of computing and heuristic techniques, such that in years to come this area of optimization would become one of the best tools where you accrue and get the benefits in the best possible way. And I am sure that the students or the participants who will take this course will find it an exciting add-on to their CVs and to their curriculum vitae, such that they can understand the techniques, how they can be used in the best possible practical sense. Thank you.
Hello, I am Shikha Dikshit. I teach psychology and I am with the Department of Humanities and Social Sciences at IIT Kanpur. Today I am going to talk about what is social cognition. Social cognition is a research area in psychology which explicates the various cognitive processes that people employ to understand the social world. So, essentially it is about sense making of the social world, which involves understanding other people as well as understanding oneself. Understanding others requires understanding their traits, their internal tendencies, their contextual aspects, motives, feelings, emotions, etc. So, as we can see, this is a very complex process and requires a massive amount of information processing. Even for small decisions, for simple decisions, people have to process a large amount of information. The main perspective or the approach which is used in social cognition is obviously the cognitive approach, and which is the study of mental structures and processes. The main paradigm which is used is the information processing paradigm. As far as the range of topics in social cognition is concerned, the range is very wide, from individual level sense making to collective sense making. As far as views of cognitive sense making are concerned, there are three major dominant views in social cognition: the naive scientist view, the cognitive miser view, and the motivated tactician view. The naive scientist view emerged from research done in causal attribution, and this refers to detailed and systematic processing of information and sense making in the social world. However, it is not always possible to make detailed to engage in detailed cognitive processing, and hence people act as cognitive misers in many situations. So, whenever there is lack of time and cognitive effort is less, then people involve in using certain strategies which are functional, yet they are like mental shortcuts. So, this is the cognitive miser approach. However, the question that comes to the fore is that which one of the two strategies is more important? The answer is provided by the motivated tactician view. And according to this view, people can either use the naive scientist approach or the cognitive miser approach as and when required, and they can switch over between the two approaches when required. So, these are the three major views which are utilized to understand cognitive sense making. The topics that social cognition covers ranges from cognitive social cognition to social cognition. So, topics such as causal attribution, understanding of attitudes, social schemas, unconscious cognition about social situations, the use of mental shortcuts or heuristics in decision making, social identity, and stereotyping processes are some of the topics. In addition to this, a large number of social cognitive psychologists also understand collective sense making in terms of social representations.